Hello, Librans. This is Karen, the Forest Empress, and I am here with your May mid-month tarot card reading. I've done a cross spread, and then at the end of the reading, we will pull a Power Animal Oracle card to tie everything together. So the first card that we have is a card that represents the past and the influence that the past is having now in these last 2 weeks. You got a great card. It's one of the best cards in the deck. This is the Sun. So earlier in the month, you may have been feeling a lot of love, happiness. Maybe you started a new creative venture, or maybe you just have a lot of creative energy that you just are itching to get out, and that's great. You could have also been in the spotlight, maybe in these first 2 weeks of May, or as we're going into the third week of May. You could have been shining in some way, which is awesome. So great job on that. So any new projects that you have started, this is a very good omen for success. So you can look forward to the future, because when the Sun card shows up, there's always beautiful things either there or coming soon. So that's great. You also could have had really good relationships with your children, or we do have a kid depicted on this card. So if you have children, you may have been in a really good place with them in these first 2 weeks of May. And, you know, Librans really like harmony. They like beautiful things, and because they're ruled by Venus. And so this is an excellent card to have for you guys at the beginning, or at the third week in May. I'm sorry. Now, the second card that we have, which would be obstacles in your path, we have the Ace of Swords in reverse. This is reminding us to not blindly follow others, or not blindly follow ideas. Maybe you don't agree with them. You don't have to just go along with it because you want to keep the peace or you want to keep harmony. This might be a chance for you to speak up. Swords have to do with communication, so this could be maybe it's a new side of you that you're discovering, and maybe it's been hard for you to speak up for what you really believe in, and that would present itself as an obstacle. Another thing we should look out for with this Ace of Swords in the obstacle position is to be realistic about your expectations, whether it be in a relationship, in a job, in regards to other people, or even maybe with your children. Maybe just kind of lighten up a little bit. Don't be so pushy. If you're trying to kind of push your way on someone else, maybe just kind of let it happen as it should. And beware of self-fulfilling prophecies. So, you know, that kind of goes along with like negative patterns of thinking. If you get into that, it's likely what is going to manifest, because that's what your thoughts have focused on. So this is an obstacle that, you can overcome, maybe just changing how you think, or changing how you deal with people in these last 2 weeks, because maybe people are not being receptive to how you would normally deal with them. And so maybe it's time to take a new approach. Now, the influence working in your favor is a great card. This is the Three of Cups. It is a card of celebrations. Maybe you are going to have a party. Memorial Day is in these last 2 weeks. Maybe you just want to let loose and party, and that is totally okay. A lot of people here in the States have a 3-day weekend for Memorial Day. Maybe you want to go away, but I would recommend celebrating in some way, because it's in the position of influences working in your favor, which means that maybe in the midst of celebrating, you come up with a great new idea, or you discover something new emotionally about yourself or about someone else that you're close to, or you just, maybe you're just providing inspiration for somebody else in this regard. And so you could be kind of the celebration that they are having. Maybe they are celebrating your idea or having you in their life, but there is a good reason to celebrate, because you did have the Sun coming up in the past. So maybe something wonderful happened where you were thrust into the spotlight and you're getting all this attention, and now you can celebrate. Or maybe, if you are in school, maybe this is around the time where people are starting to graduate. So maybe you're graduating and it's time for celebration after you've shined, done really well in school, and it's time to party. Let's see if I have anything else. This also reminds us that you have a lot of support behind you. So if you need to use that support, please do utilize it. And maybe you could find out that you have some support that you didn't know about in the midst of a celebration. And just remember with this card to always exercise gratitude. While wonderful things are happening in your life, you want to make sure that you're being very grateful for those things, because that is actually how it is going to bring you more of those wonderful things that come along with the sun. Now, in the near future, we have the 10 of Wands. Now, this is a card that's all about balance, and it's something that you Librans are probably very well acquainted with because of what I mentioned earlier about some of the qualities of Libras. They do really appreciate balance and harmony in their life, and they do try to implement that in their relationships. It's hard when things are not harmonious for Librans. They, I think, the ones I know get very antsy when things are, and they want to kind of implement a change, and maybe you need to. So you would have to just see where this falls in your life, and maybe take some time to reflect on it and see where balance might be needed in your life, because Librans do thrive in that balance. So the more you can have it, the better I think it'll be for your state of mind and well-being. This also is a reminder to pace yourself. You could be working very, very hard on something, and people also could be asking too much of you during this time, and it could be somewhat burdensome. You can see that this guy has all his wands, and he has kind of a clever way of carrying them and balancing them all at once. And while it seems overwhelming because there are so many, he's using his intelligence and tact and creativity to make them manageable for him. So that's what kind of the advice is here on this card. Also, this is saying if you're working really hard in terms of career, maybe take a little harder look at your relationships, because Libra rules the 7th house, which is all about relationships. So that could be something that is coming up for you. Maybe try to focus a little more time towards relationships. Not to say to focus less time towards work if you are, you know, someone who needs to do a lot of work for your job, or if you like doing a lot of work. It's just that, you know, make sure that the people who are close to you in your life aren't feeling jaded or anything like that. Maybe they want more attention from you. Now, in the long-term future, we have the 7 of Wands in reverse. So you could be feeling neglected by someone or in some way, or maybe this is referring to what I just mentioned. Maybe someone's feeling neglected by you. So you would want to pay attention to that person. You probably know who it is. If it would probably pop right into your head as soon as I talk about these things. Don't be afraid to try a new approach, or try something new, or a new way of approaching your relationship, or handling your relationship, or dealing with that person. Try something new, because maybe the old ways are outdated, and maybe it is time to bring in a new method of dealing with these relationships in your life. You could also, this card has a lot to do with fear when it's in reverse too. So just as we get towards the end of the month, you know, in the midst of all your celebration, just be wary of what you are fearing in your life, because, and you know, don't be afraid to change the atmosphere around you if that's what you need at this time. Okay, so the eventual outcome of these last 2 weeks is a card that might be a little scary, but it really isn't. This is the 3 of Swords. This is a reminder that if you are experiencing sorrow or some kind of hardship in your life, that is just a part of life, and that there are lessons to be learned from it. And while it may seem like you have been stabbed through the heart in some way, it's not finite. It is something that needs to pass through. And I think the more you reflect on it, and the more you let those feelings process through you, it'll be actually much easier to handle it. And I don't really know what specifically this would be talking about. It could be in a relationship. Maybe the relationship isn't turning out the way you wanted, and then you might have to take a closer look at it. Or, you know, if you're single, maybe you're thinking, oh, I'm never going to find anyone. I wouldn't get into those thought patterns, because I don't think that's the case for you at all. I think you will actually be able to find someone. Now, during times like this, when things seem hard, the things that we need to remember the most is to exercise faith, whatever it is you believe in. It doesn't matter. Just have faith in something, believe in something. You know, exercise forgiveness, and then, you know, of the utmost importance, exercise self-love. So it can be easy to beat up on ourselves if we're going through something, but you have to remember that There's a reason why you're going through it, and there are people around you that love and support you. And Librans are great at nurturing relationships. So I'm sure you have lots of people at your fingertips that can help you if you need a gentle listening ear or just someone to be there with you. Just ask. Don't hide your true feelings when this card comes up. And you also need to face those true feelings. So you need to face them within yourself, and then you need to not hide them from other people who are important to you, because those people might need to know what you're feeling and why you're feeling it, and then they can help you or fix it or, give some advice or something. But, don't bottle it up, because bottling it up usually ends in like a tower card type situation later. So we don't want to do that. And then this card, on a positive note, indicates that if you are going through something difficult, this is the beginning of the healing process. So sometimes things need to get a little hard before they can get better, but things are going to get better. Now let's see what Animal Oracle wants to show up for the beautiful Librans for the last 2 weeks of May. We have the giraffe, and this is having us focus on foresight. You are able to see what is in store for the future. And that's not just because of this reading or any other readings you may be watching. You probably have a good idea of where you stand, whether it be in your job or in your relationships. There seems to be I'm getting like a sense of just having awareness. And, like the giraffe is very tall, they can see all around them. They generally know what's going on. They have great hearing. They have pretty good eyesight, and they just, have that height on everything where they can see what's going on, very far away from where they are. So if you are blessed to have this kind of foresight, what are you going to do with it is the question. If you had the ability to see into the future, would you change anything? Would you keep things the way they are? Would you, want to see how things play out? It's really up to you, but whatever's coming, you probably are seeing it coming. And that is a gift in itself, because it gives you the opportunity to prepare and to face it when it arrives. And this can be something good or bad. It doesn't necessarily have to be bad, even though the Three of Swords came up. And even if that was the case, if you know that there might be something potentially sorrowful coming on, you can adequately prepare yourself for it. So that's your reading. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your May, and I'll see you in June. Thanks. Bye.